Hey, Armin here. Welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show, where we cover training, nutrition, supplementation strategies, and a whole lot more. So stand by. Hey, and welcome to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
Hey, I'm Frank Mills, and thank you for joining us on the show today. We appreciate it very much and hope you guys had a Merry Christmas and some great holidays. Didn't eat too much. I know I did, but hope you enjoyed your holiday. We're looking forward to the new year, and we've got a great show for you. Today, we're going to be talking about strategies for New Year's resolutions because it seems like this is the time of year everybody starts making those. And of course, we've got your NSP fan questions. So we'll be talking about that as well. So another great show, Armin. You know, this sounds like a great topic because I know we're approaching the new year, right?
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. So, what are you thinking about this topic today?
Well, I think, my thoughts are since people are going to be doing a resolution, most likely, it's just a common thing that people do. Um, they get a fresh start to the year. They reflect about what they didn't get accomplished, and so now they're going to reboot what they think they can do for this year. Which I do the same.
Right.
It's a natural response. The only thing is, unfortunately, especially in this industry, they don't really follow through for different reasons, and that's some of the things that maybe we give them some ideas and help them with in that area. So hopefully there'll be a few takeaways.
Right. And you hear of that a lot throughout the media. You know, everybody making these New Year's resolutions. You hear it at work, in your workplace, your family. And then it seems like after 30 days, those resolutions go away. We get into February and it's over. So I was kind of curious, are you making any particular type of resolutions for 2023 regarding your health or your physique?
Yeah, for me, what the focus is going to be is, we're working on continuing to improve my sleep cycle, the deep sleep cycle, because that's the one area that is not working as well, but I've made some progress on it. So that's good news. Learn how to take time release melatonin, and that seems to be working. Now, it's not every night it's perfect, but it's obviously giving me more deep sleep. So I'm pretty excited about that. I just got to continue to work on the strategy with it. And then, I'm gonna work my weaker body parts, which to me is going to be the lower body. I'm always looking to bring those up, especially my calves. And then my back. I want my back to be a little thicker. I got good width, but I want more thickness on it. So that's some things I'm going to be focusing on for the year. Because I think when I hit the 60 mark, thinking about going back and competing again when I hit 60, because that's just a different mark, versus 59 right now. So that's something I'll deal with for the following year. But other than that, I feel pretty good about all my lab stats as far as my health, and then the nutrition I'm doing, and then how my energy is currently. I'm pretty comfortable with where that's at right now for me.
Okay. All right. Well, all of that is good stuff. Now, I know that we just talked and kind of mentioned about a lot of people not following through on their New Year's resolutions, and I am guilty of that myself. So I was kind of curious, why do you think that is?
Well, it's as usual, that's a good question. So I'm just going to give you my opinion on it. But people, they always have good intentions, okay? And when they set their goals, the resolutions, they're always going to be faced with some adversity because nothing comes through very. If everything was easy, then nobody, everybody be doing it, wouldn't be an issue.
Right.
But like anything, there's always going to be things getting in the way. And when they hit some of this diversity, sometimes they can get talked out of it or discouraged pretty easily if they don't know what to do, or they find themselves, having to put in a lot more energy and effort and things that they thought was going to be needed. And it adds more pressure and stress to their day. So then they're like, well, maybe if I just, I'll take that stress off for now and I'll come back at it later. The old I'll do it later strategy, which we all know
Right.
that happens to everybody as well, me included. So they usually just don't have a good backup or alternative plan for these different contingencies that are going to occur. They haven't really thought through it enough. And then the other one is, whenever you're doing anything, you need to have a good support group. Like is the family going to be supportive, your spouse, the friends, the coworkers, just to mention a few. I mean, if they're going to continually make it hard for you by tempting you with stuff, that gets kind of frustrating. You're like,
Right.
why bother? That you're
Right.
getting an uncomfortable, peer pressure situation because people are looking at, well, what are you going to do? Are you not going to drink alcohol? Are you not going to do this? You're not going to do that. I mean, you kind of get looked at as an outcast sometimes in your own mind would be how I
Hmm.
would put it. So, anyways,
Well, and it happens a lot because you're all excited about your New Year's resolution of what you're going to do,
yeah,
and you tell all your friends or family, and then in 30 days they go, "Hey, what happened with this?" Right? You're like falling off, and so, well, I'm curious, Armin. Is there anything that you can suggest or maybe recommend to our audience that may help with New Year's resolutions?
yeah, sure. I mean, based on my own experience, so for example, the one thing you mentioned, I wouldn't necessarily tell everybody what your plan is because then you
Hmm.
start getting a lot of free advice that may not be helpful
Right.
to
Right.
what you're going to do. So, I mean, if you got somebody that you feel can help you with your with where you're going, then that may be a little different. But I wouldn't be, uh, to me, I wouldn't be yelling it out there telling everybody
Right.
because I
Right.
want to focus on just getting it done and not talk about it versus doing it. So, because it's easy to talk about it, doing it
Right.
is always the toughest. So first off, to me, you'd want to set goals that are realistic. And a lot of people don't necessarily set realistic goals. So that's something you want to be really cognizant of it when you're setting them. Some examples of this would be like, how much you know, weight or body fat do you want to lose? And then what kind of a time period? So in other words, well, I'm gonna lose 20 pounds. Okay, well, what's your timeline to do that? Or when you lose 2% body fat, what's the timeline? So you've got some pressure there to get on it. So that's one thing. Or how much pure muscle do you want to put on, and understanding, well, what's pure muscle, and then
Hmm.
how long could it take? How much pure muscle can you gain in a month? How much pure muscle can you gain in 6 months, a year, that kind of thing. And that's always going to vary on the experience of the person with their training and how long they've been doing it.
Hmm.
So there's keep that in mind. And then like a lot of people, they want to get off these medications, which they should, because these medications aren't good long-term strategies because there's side effects. So, what's your timeline to get off? Let's say you're on blood pressure medicine. And I hope a lot of people get off blood pressure medicine just because of what they're doing nutritionally and then, exercise wise as well. But what's our timeline we're looking at to see how quickly we can achieve that. So
Hmm.
that's, one round. Secondly, uh, always expect that when you're getting this, you're setting these goals, you're getting these things done, there's a common occurrence of, things getting in the way. Okay. So you got to be planning as much as you can to think about the things you're going to need to do to be successful with your strategy. So, saying one thing, but then you
Right.
need to break it down. Okay, how am I going to do this? Step by step. That way, you got a good amount of clarity on what you're going to do day to day,
Right.
or how often you're going to do everything. Because clarity and understanding what to do, that's much easier for you to get things done consistently. Because consistency is another factor.
Hmm.
So, some examples of this would be if you always find yourself short on time, and then it comes to getting something to eat, or you're training, you don't have time to train because you don't have enough time, or getting enough sleep, or you're staying up too late, and now you're not getting enough sleep. These are some things that you got to plan for because it's really easy when you're stressed out and you need to get something to eat real quick, doing that reflex, grabbing processed food and things aren't going to be helping you with your goals. So those are things you need to really think through so that it doesn't become such a hassle for you. And then
Hmm.
finally, you got to make sure your spouse, your friends, and coworkers, and all that, they're going to be supportive. And so that's why I don't like talking about it so much because except for your spouse, obviously, but your friends and coworkers, let them just kind of see the results you're getting, and then they're gonna know.
Right, right.
Outside of they're following what you're doing or something, they're saying, "Hey, what are you doing this for?" Well, that's, I'm trying to accomplish this goal. But if they're not going to be supportive, then you need to figure out how you're going to work around that, because
Hmm.
it's going to be an issue at some point. It's just a matter how soon that issue is going to crop up.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you bring that up because I think that would be one of the hardest things to deal with. I mean, in regards to having a support group, if you don't have that, that would be pretty tough, I would think. Don't you agree?
It definitely is going to be an issue.
Yeah.
So I mean, realistically, there's nothing more challenging than having a spouse or your friends expecting you to eat what they think is good food, or
Right,
healthy
right.
food, and then, well, there's no harm if you just have a little. I kind of get that. Well, just having this one time isn't gonna, do it, which is true. But at the end of the day, it puts you in a position to have to resist ongoing
Yeah.
eating
Yeah.
eating the food you shouldn't be eating, especially processed food.
Right.
It's easy for them to say, "Hey, we're gonna go do something." You had your workout schedule, or we're gonna go do something that's gonna be fun. Won't you skip that and come on with us? Okay, well, again, that's okay once in a while, but that starts to happen 2 times a week,
Right.
that kind of thing. That's really not going to help you with where you're going.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
and getting to bed on time, instead of staying up late, well, let's watch another show, let's do this and that. I get that, but then if you don't get to sleep, you're going to struggle the next day, and it's going to be harder for you to keep following through on your goals. And then obviously drinking too much alcohol and other things that probably aren't going to be productive for you. Okay, it's just gonna, you know, when you start doing these little things, they all start adding up. Then you're not getting the results. Then you're kind of feeling stressed and frustrated, and then that's when a lot of people get to start giving up, because they're just like, okay, this is a constant battle.
Right.
So you got to
Right.
keep that stuff in mind. So these kind of lifestyle behaviors on a regular basis is what's causing most of the problems to begin with. That's why you're in the position that you're in, and
Right. Right.
they're going to cause you to age faster. So you know you have to understand that if you're trying to make things better, uh, you got to be able to say no or make adjustments. Um, Otherwise, you're not going to make your progress. So
Right. Right. And
have a strategy.
yeah, yeah. And I think everybody has dealt with one of the issues that you just brought up, because that's just natural in the workplace, at home. If everybody's
Uh,
not on the same plan, doing the same thing you're doing, which most of the time they're not, it can be pretty difficult,
uh,
especially if you have a family. It's complicated having kids and wife and pets and all that kind of stuff. It definitely happens. So, you know, I'm kind of curious, Armin, how do you deal with the social events? Because I'm sure you run into them all the time.
yeah, I mean it's going to happen, and it doesn't need to be a bad thing. You enjoy the social event, but you want to make sure you got a game plan, and then make sure you set some priorities that you feel are going to work for the situation, because that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I do.
Mm-hmm.
So, like for me, if I go to a social event, I already know that 100% certain there's going to be processed food, cheap carbs, that are made, like mashed potatoes or
Mm-hmm.
macaroni and cheese, these kind of things. You're going to have all that stuff available. There's going to be alcohol again most of the time, and then everybody's there to have fun. So these are the fun things to be doing. So you have to say, okay, that's fine. So you're gonna, like, okay, it's going to happen. Okay,
Right, right,
so I usually have a plan that, for me, I'm going to eat something before I go. That way, I'm not really tempted to have something, as much of something.
right.
Uh, so when I'm there, then I'm going to allow for some of the food. I don't want to be a non-social and not eat anything that was provided, but I'm also not going to have any processed food.
Right,
I'm
right,
gonna find out what they have that's minimally processed, uh, and then the same thing with alcohol. I'm not gonna drink a lot of alcohol, because usually I got to drive anyway, so there's no sense
right,
in me
right.
taking too much alcohol. So I'll minimize that, and I have certain alcohols that I want to drink just because of the way I respond to them like we
Mm-hmm.
mentioned before with potato vodka. If they don't have that, then I might have a low carb beer, which I really don't like anymore. I used to like beer, but I'm
Right.
just not a big a fan of it. So
Uh-huh.
that'd be some strategies I'm going to do there. And then if they have any quality protein, I'm going to enjoy that. But a lot of times it's just processed meat, sliced up meat.
Right.
And I'm
Right.
just like, you got meat glue in there, you got nitrates, nitrites. But if they have looks like some quality homemade meat or somebody's brought some meat, then I'll probably engage with that and enjoy
Mm-hmm.
myself, and
Mm-hmm.
then talk to people. That's kind of how I handle it for myself. So,
All right. So what about your spouse and family? Are they supportive with you? Is that tough?
well, I made sure that was going to be the case when I got married. So, I want
There you go.
to, my wife like, okay, she on the same page as me. I was bodybuilding at the time, and it's like,
Right.
well, I want a spouse that also you know, wants to improve themselves, wants to, eat good and that kind of stuff. And,
Uh-huh.
that's what I end up, for me, that's what worked out for me. So I
Okay.
kind of made sure that wasn't going to be an ongoing problem. I didn't want to find somebody that likes to smoke, drink alcohol all day and, eat like a slob. So
Right.
that's kind of
Right.
extreme, but anyways.
Right.
So, but then, I'm always, since what I do, my dad always told me, practice what you preach. Don't go telling somebody to
Right.
do something and then, tell them don't smoke, but then go around the corner of the building and smoke. He goes,
Right.
that's
Right.
that's not good. So always do the practice of what I preach. So I'm always trying to set the example. And some people feel like, well, you're just too strict. It's like, well, they just don't know
Right.
me as well. Would be my impression. So,
Mm-hmm.
but also it's for the kids. I wanted to let my kids know, hey, there's certain ways you want to approach these things. There's reasons for this,
Mm-hmm.
and so I try to set the example for them. Like we talked about. Well, maybe it was on the Frank Mills show. We talked about my daughter.
Mm-hmm.
She
Mm-hmm.
wanted to be vegan, vegetarian. She was all over the place because she was getting influenced by the media, and then Dad doesn't know what he's talking about at that point, and then her friends were doing it. And unfortunately, she put on about 40 pounds by the time she was, I think, a sophomore, junior in high school. And I was like, oh my God. Because the thing with vegetarian, there's nothing wrong with being a vegetarian.
Right.
But at that young age, what was happening to her is she was eating processed food that's vegetarian. And that's where people, heck, they got to wake up. If you're going to be a
Yeah.
true vegetarian, you got to eat real fresh food to be a vegetarian. If you're going to eat
Yeah.
this processed stuff, especially the stuff that's supposed to taste like meat, oh my
Yeah. The
God,
the
which she was,
processed veggie burger. Yeah.
oh,
Mm-hmm.
and she was buying those, and man, she couldn't even eat them. So we're burning this money, for her to do this lifestyle, and she's gaining weight because it ended up being nothing but a bunch of carbs and very little protein. But luckily, over time, she, I don't know what happened, but my wife said she would change, which the wife called it. She went back to eating meat, and man, she lost the weight like a rocket, and she looks great, and she's training. So and my son always trains, so and he's on target with everything. So I'm feeling real fortunate with what I did so far. But like anything, things can always change. So I'm not taking it for granted. I'm just glad that things in that arena seem to be working out on for me, anyways.
Right.
All right,
Right.
but
So
also,
oh yeah,
yeah,
go ahead.
go ahead. I was just going to say, some of my clients, they have to go through this. We have to talk about, okay, how are you going to handle this with
Right.
dinner
Right.
time and things with your spouse and the kids, and so they end up having some kind of an understanding, but it's something that has to be addressed because it puts them in a position where they're changing their food choices, but they don't necessarily want everybody else to change because they're changing, becoming
Right.
uncomfortable. So that's always been an interesting one to work with the people as well. Anyways,
Right, right. Well, it is an interesting battle, for everyone for your New Year's resolution. So, what I'm taking away is make sure that you are properly prepared for this New Year's resolution, whatever you're going to
yeah,
make. Make sure it's
yeah,
well thought out, and you understand the things that you have to do to keep that resolution moving forward after 30 days, because that's the normal fall off. And I think if you prepare, Armin, you're in really good shape. But as we wrap up the segment here, Any final thoughts?
Yeah, just to kind of recap again, set realistic goals. Okay. Some people, I don't know what they're thinking sometimes, but they set goals that are way beyond what they could probably achieve. Now, if
Right.
you do that and you're just looking to get halfway there because that's how you want to do it, I guess that's something there. But again, set goals that you can achieve so you don't get discouraged because you're not even getting halfway close.
Mm-hmm.
That's the most important thing because then that affects you mentally as well. Obviously understand there's going to be pushback. There's going to be different things that are get in the way. And so you're going to need to address those things. Uh, Always focus on the result and how it's going to make you feel when you achieve those results. And don't let other people with all their free influence and help uh, help you with your decisions because they can make you feel bad and they don't even recognize it. I know they're trying to help, but
Mm-hmm.
they don't necessarily know what's going on either. So if they truly care about you, they're going to understand that you're doing it for a reason, whether they agree or not agree. It's your decision. So stay focused on that. At the end of the day, you're making these resolutions to improve yourself and to make things better long term.
Right.
So,
Right.
you want to grow from the experience because then once you achieve it, you can help other people that may be struggling and may ask for your advice, not your advice. Not necessarily do you need to give it,
Right.
but if they
Right.
ask, then well, here's what I'm doing. I mean, again, if you think it's going to be a struggle, then for me, if you think right out of the box it's going to be a problem, then hire a coach. Get somebody that you feel is knowledgeable enough that can understand you and that can help you get through this. Because once you learn it and you do it, now you have it. You keep that information forever. It
Right.
worked for
Right.
you, okay? Because that's what I help my clients with. Once they learn how to do these things, they have that to keep forever, and it's going to help them longer term. So
Mm-hmm.
that's a good thing about hiring a good coach. And also, the coach can help with give you the solutions that you may not have thought about because they've already been through that crap. Because I mean, there's so many situations I've been in. It's like, wow. So I got to go figure out how to fix it. So that can quicken your pace of getting things done. And then you need some accountability in most cases because if you start slipping a little bit, somebody getting on you can keep you on track. So either,
Right.
get you a training partner or a buddy to go do it with you and, you guys struggle together or, whatever, maybe the spouse wants to do it with you. That's fine. Just, work at it together, but have some accountability so that you don't talk yourself out of it or start letting things slide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we wish you luck on all your New Year's resolutions. We hope our
Yeah.
audience prepares. Think out those goals. Make sure that you're, on track and scheduled for success. You want to have
Oh
that
yeah.
success. So, all right. Well, we're going to take a quick break. Arm and I will be right back. So stand by for a quick message from NSP Nutrition.
Hey, and welcome back to the NSP Nutrition Show. I'm Armin Eckelbarger.
I'm Frank Mills. Again, thank you for joining. Whether you're watching or listening, we appreciate it very much. Just a quick reminder, take advantage of the amazing prices that are on NSPnutrition.com
Yeah.
right now. Holy smokes. Holiday sales galore. Take advantage while you can. Stock up on those supplements because I'll tell you what, I sure did. I got a lot for Christmas and stocked up as well and save myself some money. So I encourage
Yeah.
you to just go on, take a look and get some supplements for the new year. Start those New Year's resolutions right with proper supplementation. Um,
Mhm.
Armin, fan questions. We got a new year. We're recording this show before the new year. We're recording on December 30th, but this will be out for New Year's. And
Right.
a lot of people will have started their New Year's resolutions. Some will be hungover from New Year's Eve,
Yeah.
but we've got a lot of content and a lot of new shows to look forward to. So I'm excited about that. But One of our either watchers or listeners, Sid in Ottawa, Canada,
Okay.
watched our episode of The Liver King.
Mm,
And he said, it's sad to hear about the steroid part of it. But he said, as far as
yeah.
the nutrition part of it, Armin, was he on track with the nutrition? Just curious.
Well, his nutrition, I don't have a problem with,
Okay.
having real food.
Right, right.
Eating the bone marrow. Eating. I don't necessarily know if you need to eat liver raw. It just depends on your own priorities. But the food, there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. It's just that he uses that as a way to sell the supplements, which you got to question the guy on what he's doing with that, since he's not even honest about other things he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think you're going to find a lot of pushback about because people have ate these kind of foods for a long time, so it's nothing new. It's just that he's kind of revitalizing what he does as a way to be different. I mean,
Okay.
eating liver is great. I mean, eating bull testicles, if you want to, you want that. There's nothing wrong with that. May
Mm-hmm.
not sound too appealing, but it does get people really wondering, well, is this stuff gonna, again, is it gonna make me look as good as he was
Right,
looking?
right.
Probably not. Okay. Well, I know it's not gonna do that, but it is nutritious food. So,
Mm-hmm.
and if you're into that, no problem. But I would just make sure that when you're going to prepare those types of foods, that you know where he's getting into and where the sources of it are coming from and things like that. Because he's doing all this in a pre-programmed arena. He may have his own farm, and so he has his own methods for doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something you just go buy. I wouldn't think you're just going to go buy it off the shelf and it's all going to be just like he positioned it.
Mm-hmm.
That's just kind of my
Mm-hmm.
thoughts on it. So, but I
Gotcha.
don't think there's a big rub with eating the food that he mentioned.
No, no. Actually, I have a friend of mine. He actually lives out west,
Mhm.
and he got bored eating steak and chicken and seafood.
Yeah.
So he started looking at different types of protein. So he'll
Mm.
go on, and of course, his location helps too, but he has elk and antelope,
Uh,
and
yeah.
he has bison, and he buys different types of meat. So he changes it up. And he said that's really helped him a lot too, because, yes, there's different ways that you can prepare things, but all of these different meats have a different flavor,
Yeah.
and some have different textures. He also had bear. He was telling me he had bear. So
Mm.
uh, it was very interesting to hear, how he's kind of changed up his um, whole nutrition plan with different types of protein. And I thought
Yeah.
that was pretty interesting.
Well, I've had elk and moose and a lot of wild game, duck and rabbit and all that. And
Uh huh.
it tastes really good. So it's just a matter of how you want to change up your palate. But yeah, that stuff's all good for you. I mean, especially when it's coming from the land, it's going to have good nutrients in it.
Right.
So that's the thing. So
That,
yeah, if you can do it, I would do it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of those things, and down here in Florida, we have gator at a lot of other
Yeah.
restaurants,
Yeah.
and I don't have a problem with that either. So I
uh,
think it's a good thing. So all right.
yeah.
Next question. This is from Kathy, and Kathy is in, all she says is Nevada. So, Kathy, thanks for either watching or listening. She says, Armin, regarding your nutrition plan, and
Mhm.
she's talking about your plan specifically, Armin.
Yeah.
Um, you're obviously in fantastic shape. You're a professional. You're a fitness expert. You're a professional bodybuilder. You are a coach. You have your own business. She's seen all this.
Mhm.
But, she says, is it tough on you with your nutrition plan to keep it exciting? How do you change it up? And I thought that was a
Mhm.
great question because, for you've been doing this for 40 years, you've got to change it up and try different things to keep yourself maybe challenged with different tastes and textures. And I thought that was a great question.
Yeah, so I've done a lot of different things. Now, like with my kids, they'd always be a little frustrated because, like, well, Dad, you eat kind of bland food. And so I
Right.
always my always quick response was, well, I eat for purpose, not so much for pleasure. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but that's also because I just didn't want to. I just did stuff that I thought was simple and it would work, and it does work. So I'm a kind of a no flair, not a lot of flair to my palate. But what
Right.
I have
Right.
done recently that I really like is these food pre-made meal plans. Man, they seem to be they're on it. So I have low carb type meal plans when I'm going to have a low carb meal delivered to the house, and even we got this one brand, my wife loves it.
Mm-hmm.
So and the kids love it, and it's low carb. It just shocks me to no end. But they do a great job. The company's called Factor 75,
Okay.
and
Okay.
they're not. It's typically about $120, give or take, or less per week, with about 10 meals a week. But
Uh-huh.
it really helps to give me some more flavor, give me some more different types of vegetables where I don't have to cook them up. So that's been one way I've been using, especially the last few years, to make it easier.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, though, I just ate, basically meat and some vegetables, and just have some carbohydrates as needed, and just kept it, plain and simple. So I
Right. Right.
stayed away from a lot of restaurant foods. But that's the thing with me is I'm okay with simple and bland because I know what it's going to do for me. But for people that like to have a little more pizzazz to their food, like I'll put hot sauce on. That's one of the things I'll do from time to time to flavor things up, like Frank's Red Hot, on the wings,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll use the Louisiana hot sauce. I mean, there's just different ones out there. But I just found that having these pre-made meals along with what I make has worked out really well. So that's how I approach it right now, and I like it. It works well, and keep my six pack all year long. So
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hopefully it helps you, Kathy. A lot of great information in the show today. And hopefully everybody plans well, get your New Year's resolutions in order, and
uh,
prepare accordingly for success. And, Armin,
yeah,
thanks for all the great information today, and look forward to our next show, man.
awesome. Yeah, well, same here, and I'll just keep working on new ideas and see. And as we get more input, which is always good, then we can put that into the show as well. So we really appreciate everybody watching and spending the time to learn what we have to say.
And we need your content, so please contact us with any
Yeah,
topics or questions you may have. You can either scan the QR codes above our heads, you can also comment on YouTube, or you can email us at support@nspnutrition.com. Thanks for joining us for another show, and join Armin and I next week for a brand new episode of the NSP Nutrition Show.
hey, thanks for checking out the NSP show. Go to nspnutrition.com where you can find a whole heap of resources to help you achieve stunning definition and eye-popping levels of muscularity. Don't forget, you can save 10% on your first order by using the code NSP show at the checkout. Catch you next time.